French. Hey, what's happening? I know there's a lot more important things going on. What's today, Thursday? So how's it going? We're gonna do a little reading and everything. Yeah, so the line that we had last night with our brother Westside, and I was tired, but it was an excellent one. I actually went over to the individuals. These are youngins, and they're grafted in, well in, without knowing the truth of history. When anytime you are grafted into something, all right, you ascertain, and that is your proclamation. That is where you start. That's the foundation, and that's how generational knowledge and history has changed. Now, we always talk about the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, Morgans, the Bushes. That's part of it. The Kennedys were at once one of those families that were kind of sliced in, meaning that Robert and John were Ashkenazi Irish. They're not the original people of the land, to which we know are the Twa, just like Scotland, which the word alludes to dark earth or dark people. So we don't want to get into that. But the dynamics behind these 6 families is one individual. So I had already done which call it from a guy on TikTok, to which I expressed that years ago, hell, on MySpace. I think a lot of these young people are talking the foolish stuff grafted in by these education systems and these frauds on these reservations aren't aware of. We're going to read, but I just want to make this clear, because I'm going to definitely set up a podcast for tomorrow. And if Westside or somebody can invite these individuals, I'm not inviting anybody, because I'm not going to sit there going back and forth with a bunch of ignorant people who are steeped in today's world of ideologies that have nothing to do with truth and is irrelevant to reality. For them, it's practical because it's a draining source of information. It's not a lake full of information of truth. They are a conscript brought in to carry on, like these moms in Colorado, remove the guns. Oh, shut up. The majority of them ain't never been shot, this, that, and the other. A lot of them are foreign, first generation, second generation maybe, and they don't understand the importance of the Constitution and why it exists. If that were the case, they wouldn't be doing what they are. We wouldn't have guns, and the land wouldn't be what it is right now. So if you don't like the Constitution, you don't like the Bill of Rights, you don't like this land, based upon my ancestors building it, long before any ideology or this one individual that controls these puppets, 6 family, the 13, the 6, and to this one, all right, who is well indoctrinated and knows he might be over 200. I don't know, but I know this much. Everything that people think they know, and I'm tired of telling you, start acting or carrying yourself like you don't know nothing. Because see, when you think you know things or everything, you absolutely know nothing. And to listen to people pushing black and white, when those of us who know that in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, you saw somebody black up into the movements created by the Boule mother suckers, you can get your throat cut. When I showed many videos, and I've got many topics and subjects based on the reality traveling the earth, our earth over, black and white is a fictional identity, just like African American. I just shared a video to my brothers in the chat and sisters. This dude, a Mexican, wearing a dashiki. You can see he's part indigenous, maybe Ethiopian, maybe some other things. Is grafted into his ignorance, and maybe a fraternal, one of these frat boys. You never know. People have a hard time knowing, understanding these things, because everything of the old world has been taken and misused. You dig what I'm saying? And people have a hard time assimilating to this reality, because they've assimilated, they've been raised and nurtured into a lie. And it's evidence when anybody talks about anything. I always say, when I read, we look for puzzle pieces. When I read and you're listening, listen to key things. I will insert stuff. I will go ahead and invoke certain things. Doesn't mean that it's right. I always say, challenge me or do the research. Most people won't, and those who do, they do find out more stuff. There are people now starting to realize, oh, James, he's the one that been keeping this Tartaria thing going, and all of a sudden, because of me correcting individuals, it took off like a wildfire, especially after Rob Bell. When I was talking about it, she's like, what is this? And I says, look, check out these books. So she ordered a book, one out of several I have, and she did an excellent job, not to take anything away, because she literally sat down and read it and went and did a little research. Mine's is much broader, because I've been doing this all my life since 1970, friggin' 6 or 8, since I was in middle school, going to Montclair Public Library because I love drawing and architecture. Some people have a hard time realizing that the religions that they practice today are made up, regardless of what parts have been taken, even some fabricated to the highest of, you know what I mean? To control the narrative, to control the people. And people are easily controlled. We want to undo that, unveil what may be responsibly for self, a reality that possibly exists in the paradigms of these lies. And most people have a hard time accepting that reality because they are so grafted in. They believe they've got to be so right. And here is where you get into the system created, because he was selected to do it with the OSS, the education system. And when I told people, I had relatives that didn't go to no school. They were trades. Everybody was taught, showed how to do certain things, whether farming the land, building, construction, and everything. When the Pelicans came here, they had us showing them how to repair roads in New York, on the highways and the grand buildings that were there before a lot of those were demoed, blown up. And then they built these crude things that everybody thinks is beautiful because people are ignorant to the reality of the world we once existed in. And they made the world about life and death and violence. Chaos is chaotic. So that way people are at each other. I'm not going to be at anybody. I'm not going to debate nobody. I'm going to smack you upside the head, give you a little bit spiel of what could be the truth. And if you have a hard time with that, based on my studies, my research, my travels, and I'm going to look at you and ask you, where have you been? What is your studies? A lot of people know that my major is sociology. Why? Because it's applicable. Psychology, pure hypocritical bullshit. It was designed so you can see electric nodes to the head and the brain to stop the truth of maturing into the truth and reality of who you are. The asylums that were never in existence up until the 1700s, when they were bringing all these babies and teens, young tweens over here and giving them a new language, giving them a new identity, giving them a new history. And that's most of the Mongols, to which the Ashkenaz from Russia are all. Because we know by reading Arthur Koestler's history, and there's many other books, videos, and everything else by the Pelicans that tell this fact, who are just as old as me. But we have this new generation who have been so perverted, they cannot even free themselves from it. They don't know the responsibility of respect and love, so their thing is a curiosity steeped in their ignorance. Curiosity killed the cat. 9 lives my ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are people so basic? But they want you to believe that they're in control, and whatever they say, and I'm not telling you whatever I say is the truth. I would rather relegate myself to reading the comprehension of my travels and what I have learned. Now, I can't put everything on the table. The story told by the 90-year-old and 87, 85-year-old Masonic people in Edinburgh, Scotland, and had to drink 12 drinks. I cannot just tell you. That's like punching you in your throat and telling you to breathe at the same time. It's just not possible, especially if I punch you in your throat. It's not going to happen. If I grab your larynx and squeeze, I have these devices, right? I have the tiger, all the stuff down in the shed are more extenuated. I've had them for years, the tiger claw. But I have these things to make sure that my forearm and my back of my hand are very strong. And I also have this little thing that I bought for $200 and some that I twist just to make sure my grip is powerful. So I make sure that when I'm punching a tree or wall or whatever, the density of my bones maintain itself. So if I grab your larynx, you better believe I can pull it out. Not just because of my years of kung fu, Samoan bone breaking, this, that, and Krav Maga from my uncles in New York. No, that's to protect myself from all the crazies running around. All right? When you're young, you feel invincible, like you can do anything, but what you're not aware of, all the crap you're eating is slowly debilitating you. It's deliberately created to toxify, make your memory not work properly, nothing to perform as it's supposed to or adequately. But these people, because they think what they've been giving, especially in these liberal damn states, well, the conservatives know different, but there's a little more truth there, regardless of the dichotomy of racism, which is not really all that much, you know? We think about segregation. When I told people, oh, that was because they felt like, oh, we mixed enough. We realized that we can't get the melanated men to make pale skin babies with the pale skin women, but we can take the melanated women and make lighter to brighter versions with the melanated sisters. And then they said with science, we're going to cross that over and say, well, the DNA and the mitochondrial and blah, 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 which is all BS. DNA. BS. Whenever I hear somebody talking about DNA, I get to giggling so hard. I say, well, you better go and study more about the farm and the FBI. You see, you better go study all the research is done on human cadavers and everything else of the idiots who want to donate their body for experiments. It's not like these things weren't known in the past, but it's become so delusional and pervert. It's got to pervert more people. Do you know what it's like to walk around stinking, rotten bodies and to study them, to dissect? No, you don't have no clue. What is the purpose of that? When in the past, it was about surviving, people working together. The calamity of racist and ethnic ideologies are pure fantasy, whimsical at that. And to believe that melanated people all come from Africa, excuse me for you religious, because the majority of the people I see are the religious dumbasses. In the Bible, it says in your Bible, Ham, the progenitor of the dark races, except the Negro. So that means the Africans and all those in Ethiopia are not Negroes. Just because some uneducated Spaniards, New Age Spaniards, Sephardic, that means half Ashkenazi or of the Ashkenazi dialect or what we talking about Gog and Magog, because they stated, when you talk about Franz Boas and Walter Plecker, who worked with Marcus Garvey and Haile Selassie, because niggas are dumb, because the education system set up in 63 and 64 made sure they were, when the very people that created it in their voice recorded states it. People have a hard time dealing with that reality. Don't want to debate me. You're not my equal. I don't care how wonderful your words come along. And I will curse your ass out, literally and figuratively. Have your ass sitting on the toilet for 2 weeks and be 100 miles from you. Don't get it twisted. See, people have a hard time dealing with this reality because they're so stuck in that false one, that illusion. I hit this dude up on here, and I hope he come over here and watch, talking all this shit about the Terminator's origins and the writer who made the Flying Piranhas and everything as if he wrote it. When I said, wait a minute, I know the sister personally, and when I used to be over there in Manhattan, sitting down with her after I get my White Castle suitcase of chicken sandwiches before they had soy all in the crap, all right? At her little thing showing the books to which them Ashkenazis, them frauds stole it, and he had nothing to do with it. And then, people just want to have content. People just want to be able to talk about something. I got a PhD and an MD of what? Multiple MD, multiple personal disorder. People have a hard time dealing with this. They really do. Especially when somebody comes who the world would like to see gone, who is going to not just question the reliability of the information put out there, but also question them as being a reliable source of the information that they are sharing as if it's supported by fact, when majority of it, 900% of it, is fiction. They don't want to have that. So West Side, if you're on here, I can't see I don't know if my internet, what they're doing. I think my internet may be off. You invite her over for the podcast to sit herself down. I don't care about how many followers, because see, YouTube has a hard time because every time I got people talking about I subscribe, and I'm like, 12 people said they subscribe, and my number is still the same for the last 5 days. And that's why I always say thank you for the new subscribers. For some reason, it's showing 1 or 2 when it's 12 and 15 hitting me up. Yo, I love your channel, bro. I subscribe, and I'm getting my cousins them to subscribe. So YouTube, I don't know what your problem is, what your fear factor is, but everything that you believe is dead. It's all done. I can't be stopped. Not how you think, nor the people who have helped assist in their own education. So people can go ahead and believe in whatever it is they want to and follow whoever they want to, because the majority of the time, women, you can get a lot of followers if you unblock your channel you say something worthwhile, the people will come running over, especially the men. Oh, forget about it. All the world over. Most of them are perverts, and a lot of them have a hard time because, man, they kind of lost their manhood the most inappropriate way. You know what I mean? So, if people want real knowledge, they want to be steeped in what may be considered, redact that. If they want to be steeped in what may be based upon real knowledge, it could be a lie as well. But you got to start somewhere, and better than the lies of this new age, when there are people who are alive who will tell you that's bullshit. It seems to be this thing like sports, this competition. So we have people who are seated in these so-called high places who are full of shit. So everybody's going to run to them because the curriculums and everything else have circumventing this bullshit. So they won't listen to the people who actually might know something. And that's where we get into the dire spite of bullshitivity, the bandwagoner mentality. You know, well, you got Chinese, Dutch, and Spanish. What the fuck that mean? They're married into my family. What the fuck that got to do with anything? Do you have any clue? I've got pictures. I got pictures of my great grandparents, Dutch and Cherokee, the so-called Cherokee. We always said Anahuia. And there's another word, and I'm not going to share that. I want to see somebody else. I actually reached out to the Cherokee. I was like, hey, do y'all know a certain word that's not utilized? And this one old pale skin lady playing Cherokee said, oh, yeah, we know that. I said, what is it? I said, I can give you 3 letters. The first, the middle, and the last. And she's like, oh, no, we don't. Oh, don't give me that shit. You don't know what it is. I don't even think the Vatican, and they're 50 miles of information, know what it is. I don't think this one individual knows what it is. It's a very, very secret word. I am so tired of these dumb fucks with this black-white. If you're black, you get him African, as if that's the only place we were at. We civilized the fucking world. We founded Europe. We were the original Vikings, you suck dick fucks. I'm so tired of the stupidity of the small hat conspiracy of lies that is steeped in nothing but theories that people make relevant because the curriculums of a fake education system. You see how they got these babies don't know if they're boys or girls. Oh, you got to tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. And you see everything unfolding right before you, slowly and methodically created. Now the truth is coming out about all these motherfuckers in high positions being autistic and Asperger's syndrome and Down syndrome. There was no mongrel or Mongol on the East Coast. This is documented, whether in the Jesuit letters, whether in all these books I have about Americas, written by the very people whose followers later on, by a century later, would attempt at working pretty well to change. Our people murdered, their great cities buried underwater in landslides and mud floods. And they're digging them up left and right. Who? Foreigners. And all the archaeologists are Danes, Swedes, Netherlands. What the fuck? Used to be French and Brits, Scots. You can't make it up. Oh, this the ones that were educated or in these Illuminati or whatever these fucking secret societies were. They need to bury the truth of history. You see how they did the French man who created the goddamn Museum of Natural History. What do you call it? What's the name of that goddamn? No, y'all, trust me, y'all don't know the words, so don't even try to figure it out. Please stop. Just take a fucking breather and stop. You don't know the fucking word. Trust me. All these fake museums and shit, Museum of Natural History and Art, bullshit with their fake ass dinosaur and the Smithsonian. They murdered that motherfucker and then killed the nephew. So they can hide shit. Oh, that motherfucker underground is big. But see, this is what we have to deal with all around the earth. And everybody wants to believe, oh, there's no way, that's impossible. I didn't come on to throw a bunch of rhetoric around and holler and yell and scream and blah, 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 and get everybody riled up and go, yeah, and misguide you. I'm saying use your freaking heads for once. Okay? I was going through my DD-214s and looking at some of the weapons I qualified on early on. And matter of fact, this one, let me make sure the date's right. This one right here, this is 92. So when I had, well, this is recoil, 9mm pistol, 12 gauge shotgun, 50 caliber M2 machine gun, 7.62 millimeter M60 machine gun, 38 caliber revolver, 7.62 millimeter M14 rifle, 45 caliber pistol, 1911. My damage control, recoil, basic DC watch stations and firefighting and all that shit. And a lot of people know me from the military. I was the first one to work contractors for the GAL 17. That's the helicopter R truck mounted mini electric firing, Gatling gun. Then I've got all my other things. Here's the realm of the Arctic Circle. Blue nose, when I told you all that. Running around my drawers in sub-zero weather on the flight deck, sitting on blocks of ice and getting it look like throw up throwing on you and your ash lily. Imperial Neptuni Regis, and not just the shellback, but a golden shellback. How many times I crossed the so-called equator? All right, make it all known to all sailors, whoever ye may be, to all wells and blah 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 blah. Okay, like what the fuck? And that's just some. That's not all the shit. That's everything's not in there. The thing is that my jacket's that thick. It's only half of it. The other one's down there, and I don't feel like pulling it out. Why? Because people want to believe in their little fancy fucking world. If you don't like the Second Amendment, if you don't like the First or Fifth or Fourth, if you don't have respect wearing a costume, motherfucker, if you took an oath and you can't defend it, get the fuck off my land. If you love your fake history, you so caught up with black and white and yellow and brown and all that bullshit, get the fuck up off my land. It's that easy. There are places you can fucking go. They're gonna kill you anyway, right? Get the fuck up off my land and take your Hollywood experiments, your Hollywood, small hat, fucktard, I can't say Zionist, this and other because misutilized words, and go the fuck. Rabbis? What the fuck is a rabbi? I've read where it's a new creation. People have a hard time dealing with that. Get the fuck up off my land. The days of being nice when nobody is being nice, it's fucking over. Get the fuck up off my ancestral soil. If you have an issue, moms against guns and everything else, all you retarded motherfuckers, get the fuck off my land. That's what the fuck I got to say. Get the fuck on with your fake world, fake history, and fake narratives, and fake identities, and your fake mouths. Get the fuck off my land. The land that my ancestors belong to and always have and always will. I wouldn't give the fuck if we came from man or from Mars and women are fucking Venus. I don't give a flying fuck. Get the fuck off on my land. Stupid motherfuckers. Anyway, George Jones, An Original History of Ancient America, Eldermont Classic, 1939. No, we know it's from the 1800s, 1830s. Yet we've already cleared in the first few chapters who the original people of the fucking land. As Peckerwood said it, right? The Negro. What the fuck is the problem? What is so wrong? And why did the word Negro come to be? Do anybody know the reality of the word Negro? Because they had to decide. These Black Caucus motherfuckers. What are we going to call them? We're staying in a high position, but what are we going to call them? Oklahoma, Indian Territory. They bombed it, murdered people. We fought back, whooped their goofy asses. The motherfuckers brought over here by the Vatican. They encamped around us in our homes after they destroyed them. Tried to kill us off, the original people from the Death March, not that fictional fake ass Trail of Tears that my great grandparents, James Wooten and Lily Wooten were fucking on with some of my ancestral distant cousins and uncles, motherfuckers. You got Mongols and Pelskins trying to play with it. They were on that motherfucker. And then the majority of you motherfuckers who were lived in our communities when the wars were kicking off, when they wanted to subjugate us and kill us because of how good we could fight, the Punch Bowl, Alcatraz, and every goddamn thing's up that where else. All right. They allowed y'all to play us. And all of a sudden, you motherfuckers running around on these little fictional 501(c) fucking reservations as if you were us, you simple-minded motherfuckers. You can never be us, you disrespectful pieces of excrement. Never. In a trillion fucking years, you can never be fucking us. To the reading. I'm going to keep some jazz playing in the motherfucking background because that's what the fuck I feel like playing. I wish a motherfucker would talk about and that's our shit. Bullshit. And I'm hungry. Let me shout out everybody that said so I can say hi to everybody. Damn, you niggas wrote a book, man. I tap on the screen. Let me hit the all comments. Why are they doing this now? It just changed up on me. Okay. Rondo, what's going on, beloved? West Side, beloved. What's going on? Hit her ass up. Hey, Boo B, what's going on? Margarita Abrams. I'll read everything later. You know what I'm saying? What's with Grey Wolf and I have an easier time sometimes getting you easier. Good, cool. Charles Johnson. Salute. Yes. I find that the more study they have twisted them. Yes, of course they have. Snoo. Hey. I'm going to go ahead and I want to just shout everybody out and get to this reading. Yo, Crypto Cakes Cartel, what's going on? Yeah, I got to do it. I got to give it. I'm going to read everybody. El Dragon, Amuro Khan, what's going on, King? All of y'all are kings and queens of me, goddammit. Dead ass. I don't care about no colors and ethnicities and races and all that dumb shit. Tolo, what's up, girl? You keep putting that thing up. No, let it be so we can comment on it, girl. So I can share it so people can go ahead and subscribe. God damn. Get you in the house. Nahula Mississippian, what's going on, baby? Yes. It's good to see everybody in the house. It truly is. It's one of the trail of death, forced removal, militia. Yes. Besides the fact, Chickasaw and Choctaw, some of the most fiercest warriors. It's just what it is. They were actually one people, the Cherokee and a whole handful of other brothers and sisters, the Creek, and they tried to eliminate them in totality, and that's why they molded into the Seminole, and we were all the Yamasee Nation, which most people don't know. You see what I'm saying? Herbo, what's going on? Let's get this reading going. A couple of chapters of each one, because I'm hungry and don't want to be on here forever. The Hindu is rejected, and justly, from the want of similitude. The field is now narrowed for the combat. The argument is brought, in his estimation, to one nation only. Lastly, we come to the Egyptian, the point of resemblance upon which the great stress has been laid is the pyramid. The pyramidal form is one which suggests itself to human intelligence in every country as the simplest and surest mode of erecting a high structure upon a solid foundation. Now, they know giants existed. Hell, they still existed at this period of time. We grant that the first suggestion of a habitation would be of a pyramidal character, as instanced in the tents of wandering tribes formed by poles rising from a base and more or less broad, a meeting in a common center. But we deny that the pyramidal form is one followed in every country as a principle for rearing a high structure If it was so generally practiced, why is Egypt the only country where it is found? Why did not China, Japan, Hindustan, Greece, and Rome practice it, to which they did? And it is well known that China actually, besides us, has one of the largest pyramids. And even Russia, Australia too. Egypt alone claims it as an architectural practice. And the principle of the pyramid identifies her amid the wreck of empires. It stands out on her tableau of history as the prominent characteristic. It was and is nowhere found but in the nation of the Nile, and now in the ruins of ancient America. In the latter country, the Aborigines modified and improved upon the original. But sufficient is shown there, even in the base of the pyramid, to proclaim the association of the builders with Egyptian knowledge. Nor does it follow that the architects of Palenque should have been, of necessity, Egyptians, that is. The pyramidal form cannot be regarded as a ground for assigning a common origin to all people, among whom structures of that character are found, unless the similarity is preserved in its most striking features. And these are Palestinians, and they have no clue. The traveler says to all people, for example, nations, why his own rejection proved that no other people practiced the pyramid but the Egyptian. Upon that fact is he now arguing, for having failed to find the pyramidal form in all the nations of the earth. He says, lastly, we come to the Egyptian. If in America an entire pyramid from base to apex had been found, he would not have rejected the useless mass, but instantly have claimed it for Egyptian, or of that nation only, having intimate knowledge of an association with that country. Why then reject, or rather, why does he not bring forward the same reasoning when the essential part of the pyramid is found there, meaning in America? It will be shown why he did not advance it. And we know who we're talking about here. We know the idiot, okay? Excuse me, all right? And I don't like mentioning this. Yeah, there he goes. I don't like mentioning this Fakhtar's name. He was there to dismiss everything, all right? The rewriting of history. Thank goodness we have this book. The pyramids, in brackets, of Egypt are peculiar and uniform and were invariably erected for the same uses and purposes. So far as those uses and purposes are known, they are all square at the base, with steps rising and diminishing until they come to a point. The general truth of the previous quotation is apparent, but that the pyramids of Egypt had steps in their original construction cannot be supported by any history or by the absolute facts visible even at the present day. All their sides were smooth, and commencing at the apex in placing the facial stones, the steps were used as successive scaffolds from the base to the top. On the following page to the above extract, Mr. Stephens contradicts his own reasoning, and when that can be proved in the work, and many people still run with Mr. Stephens' bullshit teachings. In the work of any author, no other refutation of a false conclusion is required. We have shown that he says the Egyptian pyramids had steps rising, and in the very next page he writes, Herodotus says that in his time, 484 BC, the Great Pyramid was coated with stone so as to present a smooth surface, and in brackets it states, consequently no steps rising. And on all its sides from the base to the top, the second pyramids of Giza, called the Pyramid of Sepharnes, in its present condition, 1842, presents on the lower part ranges of steps with an accumulation of angular triangular stones at the base, which originally filled up the interstices. I can't stand this fucking world. Interstices between the steps, but have fallen down. In the upper part, the intermediate layers are still in their places, and the sides present a smooth surface to the top. Thus is Herodotus confirmed. There is no doubt that originally every pyramid of Egypt was built with its sides perfectly smooth. The steps form no part of the plan, and this is true but a direct denial of himself, Mr. Stephens. It is in this state only that they ought to be considered, and in this state any possible resemblance between them and what are called the pyramids of America ceases. To write us out. Now, not only does the traveler contradict himself in writing of the original character of the Egyptian pyramids, but worse, a direct denial of himself upon the ground that the American cannot be Egyptian, because all resemblance ceases upon contemplating the sides of the structures of both countries in their original character. Or in other words, if the American pyramid, or any part of it, had been derived from Egypt, the sides would have been faced with stone, so as to present a smooth surface. Granted, here follows then his own description, where the identity is established at Palenque. Now check this out. Palace temple in brackets stands on an artificial elevation of an oblong form, 40 feet high, 310 feet in front and fair, and 260 feet on each side. This elevation, pyramids, was formerly faced with stone, which had been thrown down by the growth of trees. We've always had these history attempts to write history, whether late or plain ludicrous. Everybody had a plan, and that plan is now falling and fading. Therefore, they have to jack everybody up with some kind of toxins or poison to mitigate, we control you. Arthur Kessler, 13th tribe. Excuse me, I know I showed it, but just to make sure. The problem of the fucking world. Part of it. Excuse me. Not all migrations are voluntary. They included large numbers of prisoners of war, such as Crimean Tartars. I just want to reiterate this part. Tartars, Crimean Tartars, who were put to cultivate the estates of Lithuanian and Polish landlords in the conquered southern provinces. Conquered. So you know what happened to mostly the men, okay? And then what happened to most of the women. The original fucking people of the lands. All you people running around with your white and black and you this and all that, and you gotta have straight hair and they got a perm and this, that, and other to fit a Hollywood narrative, you dumb fucks. When we were the ones that showed you how to perm your shit in the first fucking place. Now let's get on to the meat of it. The Polish kingdom adopted from its very beginnings under the Piast dynasty of resolutely Western orientation, together with Roman Catholicism, but compared with its Western neighbors, it was culturally and economically an undeveloped country. Hence the policy of attracting Germans from the West, Armenians and Khazar Jews from the East, and giving them every possible encouragement for their enterprise. And we know that Khazar Jews are nothing but Ashkenaz, Gogs and Magogs and everything else. Excuse me. Again, Armenians and Khazar Jews from the East, and giving them every possible encouragement for their enterprise, including royal characters detailing their duties and special privileges. In the charter issued by Bolesław the Pious in 1264 and confirmed by Casimir the Great in 1334, Ashkenazis were granted the right to maintain, they says Jews, I say Ashkenazis, maintain their own synagogues, schools, and courts, to hold landed property and engage in any trade or occupation they chose. Now, isn't it kind of funny that when they first found the people who they would have the coup d'etat back in the 3rd or 4th century, when they were running, getting their ass slaughtered before they murdered them and took over their identity. Nobody had no synagogues. They roamed the earth. They were everywhere, all 4 corners. No rabbis and all that other bullshit. Anyway, excuse me, were granted the right to maintain their own synagogues, schools, and courts, to hold landed property and engage in any trade or occupation they chose, under the rule of King Stephen Bathory, 1575 to 86. Ashkenazis were granted a parliament of their own, which met twice a year and had the power to levy taxes on their co-religionists after the destruction of their country. Khazar Jewry had entered on a new chapter in its history. Taxes. And everybody says, oh, but the Sicilians. Well, the Italians, the original people there, so-called, and the Grecians were dark people. The second oldest brother to the eldest brother of Shem, for those who like that narrative. They say the first will be last and the last will be first. A striking illustration for their privileged condition is given in a papal brev, issued in the second half of the 13th century, probably by Pope Clement IV, and addressed to an unnamed Polish prince. In this document, the Pope lets it be known that the Roman authorities are well aware of the existence of a considerable number of synagogues in several Polish cities. Now, what's funny about Rome, okay? The Roman authorities, when they brought the coup d'etat there and started changing the narrative, the history, the last few legions of Negroes they made all of a sudden this place of Africa that didn't even exist at that time. Rewriting of history, and I'm talking about in the 20th century. And they slaughtered them. They murdered them. All that writing's on there, besides the ones who they forced out of the cities, and some of the first, or maybe second segregations, who moved into the southern parts of Ethiopia, which all that was from Spain, Italy, all the way down to the southern tip they call the Cape. All that was Ethiopia, with this one little place that was called Malek. That's funny that Italy says Modeshi. Indeed, no less than 5 synagogues in one city alone. He deplores the fact that these synagogues are reported to be taller than the churches, more stately and ornamental, and roofed with colorfully painted laden plates, making the adjacent Catholic churches look poor in comparison. And in parentheses, it states, one is reminded of Masadi's gleeful remark that the minaret of the main mosque was the tallest building in Itil. The complaints in the, and we can go back into the book of Anunnaki. We'll be getting there soon. Anyway, the complaints in the Brave are further authenticated by a decision of the Papal Legate, Cardinal Guido, dated 1267, stipulating that Ashkenazis should not be allowed more than one synagogue to a town. And we gather from these documents, which are roughly contemporaneous with the Mongol conquest of Khazaria, that already at that time there must have been considerable numbers of Khazars present in Poland, if they had in several towns more than one synagogue, and that they must have been fairly prosperous to build them, so stately and ornamental. This leads us to the question of the approximate size and composition of the Khazar Ashkenazi immigration into Poland. Just like Ukraine and Russia, and they're killing each other because they're retarded and don't even know their own real history. Regarding the numbers involved, we have no reliable information to guide us. We remember that the Arab sources speak of Khazar armies numbering 300,000 men involved in the Muslim Khazar Wars, chapter 1, verse 7. That's going back before the coup d'etat, when they were fleeing, and chase was given. And even if allowance is made for quite wild exaggerations, this would indicate a total Khazar population of at least 500,000 souls. Ibn Fadlan gave the number of tents of the Volga Bulgars as 50,000, which would mean a population of 300 to 400,000, close to 500,000. For example, roughly the same order of magnitude as the Khazars. On the other hand, the number of Ashkenazis in the Polish-Lithuanian kingdom in the 17th century is also estimated by modern historians at 500,000, 5% of the total population. These figures do not fit too badly with the known facts about a protracted Khazar or Ashkenazi migration via the Ukraine to Poland and Lithuania, starting with the destruction of Sarkel and the rise of the Piast dynasty toward the end of the first millennium, accelerating during the Mongol conquest and being more or less completed in the 15th to 16th centuries. Now, what they don't state in here is how they reached out to their cousins before this, and no, we like what we have, and they fought each other. By which time the steppe had been emptied, the step, double P, I told you to look into that, had been emptied, and the Khazars had apparently been wiped off the face of the earth. They infiltrated everywhere. Altogether, this population transfer was spread out over 5 or 6 centuries of trickle and flow, as they did when they came here. First thing was to marry into our tribes and clans, and then somewhere a couple centuries down the road start rewriting history with their little inbred beasts of nature and these worthless niggas like W.B. Du Bois and all the other ones who would create the disproportionate betrayal. Now, altogether, this population transfer was spread out over 5 or 6 centuries of trickle and flow. If we take into account the considerable influx of Ashkenazi refugees from Byzantine and the Muslim world into Khazaria, and a small population increase among the Khazars themselves, it appears plausible that the tentative figures for the Khazar population at its peak in the 8th century should be comparable to that of the Jews in Poland in the 17th century, at least by order of magnitude, give or take a few 100,000 as a token of our ignorance. There is irony hidden in these numbers. According to the article Statistics in the Jewish Encyclopedia, it's made up shit, in the 16th century, the total Jewish population of the world amounted to about 1 million. This seems to indicate, as Polya Kuschera and others have pointed out, that during the Middle Ages, the majority of those who professed the Judaic faith were Khazars. A substantial part of this majority went to Poland because all the other ones were dead, except for us and certain other ones who don't even know who the fuck they are now. Went to Poland, Lithuania, Hungary, and the Balkans, where they founded that Eastern Jewish community, which in its turn became the dominant majority of world Jewry, even if the original core of that community was diluted and augmented by immigrants from other regions, and we will see below if I choose to read it. It's predominantly Ashkenazi or Khazar Turkish. Derivation appears to be supported by strong evidence and should at least be regarded as a theory worth serious discussion. Additional reasons for attribution the leading role in the growth. The last of the ancient Khazar villages of the Dnieper were destroyed in the Kazakh revolt under Chvalenki, I can't even pronounce the name, in the 17th century. Anybody in Russian, you can mention that word. 17th century, and the survivors gave a further powerful boost to the number of so-called Jews in the already existing settlement areas of Poland and Lithuania. And that was just the bottom read here. But anyway, in the growth and development of the so-called Jewish community in Poland and the rest of Eastern Europe, mainly to the Khazar element, the Ashkenazis, and not to immigrants from the West, will be discussed in the chapters that follow, but it may be appropriate at this point to quote the Polish historian Adam Vetulani. And in parentheses, it says my italics. And here goes the quote. Polish scholars agree that these oldest settlements were founded by Jewish immigrants from the Khazar state in Russia, while the Jews from Southern and Western Europe began to arrive and settle only later, and that a certain proportion, at least of the Jewish population in earlier times, the main bulk, originated from the east in the Kazakh country and later from Kiev, Russia. For those of you who've been reading with me, so you do know that they murdered off the originals, who would probably could have been the Khazarians. Excuse me. Let me put this right here. Marking the book, people. When was World War One? 1917, right? There's thousands of pictures of them fighting alongside the original people of Georgia, Prussia, and they were the Khazarians, to which they stole the Khazar identity because they were always Ashkenazis. I hope that helps those who are having a hard time understanding the words I'm utilizing from a book written by an Ashkenazi who they murdered because he was telling the truth. Him and his wife. Behold a Pale Horse by Mr. William Cooper himself. So let's go ahead and get into the planned police state. No, we did that already. My apologies. Let's finish off that part so we can get into files on potential prisoners. Okay? Roger W., what's going on? Salute, salute. Now, in the festivities celebrating the successful completion of the exercises, General Stanley R. Larson, the commanding general of the Sixth Army, stated, "The most serious challenge facing all of us will be the challenge of discharging our legitimate responsibilities. For a significant portion of a society at large is likely to regard us with suspicion and to question, even challenge our authority on the basic assumption of our profession. Part of this challenge we must be prepared to deal with, a potentially dangerous portion of our society which, in truth, could well become the domestic enemy." The manual includes instructions on operation of confinement facilities, handling and processing of prisoners, including searching, transporting, and feeding, housing, and handling of the special class of persons called detainees. The plan also specifically includes a proposition for confiscation of privately owned weapons and ammunition. And we are at that crisp. That's why I tell you, all these so-called moms against guns, a lot of these motherfuckers weren't even born here. You know how many foreigners I met who are vacationing, speak perfect English? You people have not a fucking clue. And then the IRS hired how many people? Do you all know any of them? And they weaponize them? Y'all not paying the fucking attention. And we got about 1 million motherfuckers because of 42 ready to zip, and they already brought over 1 million motherfuckers and dropped them off in the States. The government, your fictional fake ass government, and they're politicking with your asses. See, all the ones that come here, oh, we watch every one of them, and we watch the vehicles. The motherfuckers acting like they're normal, like they're over in Africa and all these places riding around, to cause chaos. And we watching them motherfuckers too. The government agents, we're watching. We see, it doesn't matter what license plates, Utah, this, that, and other. When they're parked up, when they're putting people in these homes, in these places, and they're walking around like everything's normal. Nobody's working, but they got plenty of food and having a good time. Files on potential prisoners. The Army has over 350 separate record centers containing substantial information on civilian political activities. Virtually every major Army unit has its own set aside from this. The 5th Army of San Antonio has over 100,000 files of its own, and the overall operation command post is a domestic room at the Pentagon. There are 25 million cards on individuals and 760,000 on organizations, held by the Defense Central Index of Investigations alone. And this information includes political, sociological, economic, and psychological profiles. All this type of information on 25 million Americans. Since 1970, local, county, and state police forces all over the country have undertaken crash programs to install various kinds of computerized information systems, and a large portion of this is being paid for by the LEAA. Beginning in 1970, Congress and the Joint Chiefs of Staff ordered the destruction of all these data banks, but they were not destroyed. All the outlawed collection is now located at Mount Weather, Clark County, West Virginia, and similar Pentagon facilities designed as adjuncts to the president's emergency powers under the executive orders. The cadre of specialized persons to enforce this plan are found in the U.S. Army Reserve's Military Police, POW Command at Livonia, Michigan, and Mr. Finneran of the 300th Military Police POW Command at Livonia told me when I called him from foreign prisoners of war and for enemies of the United States. I asked him if enemies of the United States included U.S. citizens. He became angry and wouldn't deny it, and referred me to a very sinister individual at the Army Reserve facility here at Houston, who I asked to talk to, who explained to me that the prisoners were called inventory and internees. He would not deny that the camps were for U.S. citizens. I called the Pentagon, spoke with the defendant there, and then with the provost marshal for the 5th Army, and do you know what? Not one of these persons would deny that the system was for U.S. citizens. The provost marshal for the 5th Army, when I mentioned the names of all the campsites, said, well, at least you got that right. The names of the detention facilities that I gave him were a list that I had acquired from the Ozark Sunbeam. That list of names was the same list of facilities designated under the old Detention Act of 1950, which they use on the Japanese, as emergency detention centers, but there is only one problem. The act was supposed to have been repealed in 1971. After some research, I found out what the problem was. One congressman, when the hearings were held, I should say by one congressman, when the hearings were held for the repeal of the Emergency Detention Act, mentioned that there are 17 other bits of law that provided for the same thing. So it didn't matter whether they ever repealed the Emergency Detention Act. The public was in fact tricked by the Congress of the United States, to which has nothing to do with America. Motherfuckers born here, live a wonderful life, go and join the military, and then go and get to see it, and they join something. Well, there you have it. Here are the designated sites. Tucked away in the Appalachian Mountains of central Pennsylvania in a bustling town of approximately 10,000 people. 15 to 20 years ago, it was a sleepy village of 400. Allenwood, Pennsylvania is linked to New York City by Interstate 80. It takes up approximately 400 acres and is surrounded by a 10-foot barbed wire fence. It now holds approximately 300 minimum security prisoners to keep in shape. It could hold 12,000 people from one day to the next. 30 miles from Oklahoma City on US 66 is El Reno, Oklahoma, with an approximate population of 12,000. Due west 6 miles from town, almost in sight of US 66, is a complex of buildings which could pass for a small school. However, the facility is overshadowed by a guardhouse, which appears to be something like an airport control tower, except that it's manned by a vigilant uniformed guard, and this is a federal prison camp or detention center. These camps are all located near superhighways or near railroad tracks or both. The federal prison at Florence, Arizona could hold 3,500 prisoners. It is presently kept in condition by approximately 400 legally convicted prisoners. Wickenburg, Arizona is famous for its municipal airport, which was once government owned. It is now occupied by a private party. It is rumored to be capable of being taken back by the federal government without notice. Now, there are a couple other of these facilities which are probably existing under the same arrangements. This particular rumor of instant taking back without notice has existed for about 9 or 10 years. The only way it can actually be established is by looking at the local contract for the Wickenburg Municipal Airport itself and the parties that have possession of it. As I mentioned previously, these names were ratified by the Provost Marshal of the Fifth Army, who is in charge of the 300th Military Police POW Command. He is the one who verified them. He said, as I mentioned before, well, at least you've got that right. Some of the other locations are Tule Lake in California, now in private hands. It can be retaken without notice. And some of the others, we have Mill Point, West Virginia. I couldn't find a thing on Mill Point, but in that area, we have all kinds of prisons. Among them are Alderson, West Virginia, a woman's federal reformatory, Lewisburg, West Virginia, a federal prison, Greensville, South Carolina, and Greensville County, and is now occupied by the State Youthful Offenders Division. Even that is a mystery to the people of the area. At Montgomery, Alabama, we have a federal civilian prison camp at Maxwell Air Force Base. Now, does that sound right? There's one at Tucson, Arizona, David Munson Air Base. In Alaska, we have Elmendorf at Ellison Air Force Base. And that brings us to a facility in Florida called Avon Park, Florida. I sent a representative to see what was at Avon Park, and he found that Avon Park bombing and gunnery range, which is also listed as the 56th Combat Support Squadron of the U.S. Air Force, which is also listed as the Avon Park Correctional Institute. No one is permitted entrance, and probably there is no overfly permitted because it is a bombing and gunnery range. This was one of the places ratified by the Provost Marshal of the Fifth Army. No, there's more. I think that's enough. That can get a lot of y'all scared. My apologies, but you know, relax. Just relax. Please relax. A DNA of the Gods, the Anunnaki Creation of Eve, and the Alien Battle for Humanity by Chris H. Hardy. Let's remember that we are not talking about a real scepter or a real shrine that would, say, emit a force field or of whatever nature. We are talking about tiny objects that Inky put into her hands by dozens at a time. Just like diamonds, of course. We cannot rule out that a nano AI system looking like a diamond, in parentheses it states, its data inserted in the crystals, molecules and atoms, and could be set on a real scepter or shrine and then emit and control a force field, or that an ME put on one's clothing could also emit a luminous field, making the person look clothed in radiance. The most enigmatic MEs are those of kingship, righteous rulership, and the most astounding of all, the ME of godship. Indeed, when Inanna chants in exaltation a queen Hamai, she means that she has become an enthroned ruler. She has become, in parentheses it says, as says the tablets, a holy torch that fills the heavens. In the Abzu from Eridu, she received the MEs her godfather Inky presented them to her. In lordship and kingship he placed in her hand. With Enlil, she determines the fates in her lands. And that's in Wars 242 of the Anunnakis. But what could the ME of godship bring to her? Was she not already a goddess? The grandchildren of Enlil, of full Anunnaki descent from Anu, before she actually got the ME of godship, and right away, she gets now to be included in the pantheon of 12, with Nineveh having to let go of her rank. She who accomplished so many incomparable deeds, not only for us, but also for the Anunnaki community on Earth. Is this how they repay her? It states in parentheses as a question. So the Emmy of Godship could only mean the inclusion into the circle of the 12 great gods who have a counterpart in a celestial body of our solar system, and the 9 planets plus Earth, the Moon, and the Sun. Anyway, and are also given a zodiacal, god damn it, constellation as an emblem. And because Enki had applied the sacred number 12 to determine the zodiac houses, and the number of great gods cannot vary. Now Inanna will have her own temple, her own followers, and she will start a religion and be the godhead of that for that earthling. She will soon declare she is the first among the gods, and she will have temples in many places dedicated to her, indeed as Ishtar and several other names. She will be held as the great goddess and the foremost among the gods, and her cult will spread to many regions on earth, including, of course, her domain in the Indus Valley, good gracious, and then India, starting a lengthy matriarchal era that we know from history and archaeology was all over earth. She will have the men that she chose as kings and consorts to conquer other lands and build her empire. And more often than not, she had them being backed by the other supreme Anunnaki, including Anu. We'll get into the teachings of gods next. Yeah, excuse me, guys. My mouth is dry. That's why I gotta take a drink. My mouth is very dry, guys. My apologies. So I'm kind of like, a little automated. Yeah, it happens, you know. Okay, Ganji, I saw some little white hats, turbans flop up. We don't do that. No, Spencer. What's going on, beloved? All right. Exposing the Expositions, 1851, 1950. Some people have asked me, do you believe in the Anunnaki and all? I says, let me tell you something. Just because we become a superficial people, that shit's gotta be tangible. It's gotta be in front of us. If it was in front of you, how would you know it? Well, that's a good question. I said, well, then ask me a good fucking question. God damn. And this is the ignorance. All right, so I guess you believe in them. I says, is that tangible? Does it need to be tangible for you? You know, perhaps I do, perhaps I don't. I'm not going to sit there and entertain people who have the slightest clue. What I know is there's a whole lot, and there's a whole lot happening right now, and people are seeing things that they never thought they would see. But what they're not doing is paying attention to their own self-enlightenment. And you can't do that if you're living a lie. And the reason why most people can't see their own self-enlightenment because they have not relegated themselves away from the lives they've been scripted into. Exposing the Expositions, 1851, 1950. This is the revised edition from the 2021 from his 2019. I'm going to say attempt because I have that book and it's a fucking doozy. But Howdy Murkowski. Okay? That's Chicago or Chicago. Okay? That was thousands of years old, people. Don't get it twisted. So, okay, where was it? Okay. We were at chapter 8, Ancient Rome, the Missing Link. And I showed y'all the remains of Temple of Antonius and Faustina in the Roman Forum. Remember? Okay. I didn't mark this, did I? I want to make sure I didn't, because I didn't really want to. No, I didn't. Anyway, I wondered for a while if these expositions may have been modeled on something specific. Just flipping channels, I came across a documentary presenting a site of an ancient Rome that had just recently opened to the public. While I looked at the TV screen as they displayed a computer-generated reconstruction of what Nero's Domus Aurea Golden House would have looked like, I almost shouted at the screen, "Look, it's the Chicago Exposition of St. Louis." I read this, I just want to read it again. That's it. This is the missing piece. This will be a short chapter, but that does not mean that it is not important in our understanding of the 1800s. I want you to see how many of the features that I will be listing are the same as the fairs. I can now safely say that it is highly likely that the big U.S. exhibitions of the late 19th century were not only in some way copying ancient Rome, they were specifically copying the Domus Aurea. The question is only when the copy was being built. And now we get all that. So let's go over here to where we should be at. And it states, the Domus Aurea in Rome has been considered a landmark in the history of Roman architecture, often cited as an example of innovation, construction, sophistication, and spatial planning, and deliberate, if not ostentatious, decoration. It is claimed by historians to have been built by Nero in 64 AD, following the destruction of much of downtown Rome from a great fire. Now, in parentheses, it states the same story as the exposition cities. Was there really a fire, an earthquake, or was one needed historically in order to create a certain symbolism of the Domus Aurea? Nero was one of the first line of new Roman emperors coming up as a teenager and built on a large scale to show off his power to his rivals. That is how modern historians think. But perhaps Nero was doing something completely different, and this new giant area was to be his way of starting a new Rome. How about if Nero was fake? Remains of the massive Domus Aurea without its marble walls and fantastic frescoes. In most cases, this is what one tends to see mostly when touring it. Here is a picture of it. And I shared a video that a gentleman created, and I also read information showing you that a lot of characters in history are fake, complete frauds. Anyway, built besides the Palatine Hill and across from the Forum, it was a massive area of 200 acres with a giant lake, parkland, gardens, pastures, and a vineyard. The countryside was recreated in the middle of Rome. Of course, there were massive buildings with domes and columns, which we know today is still there, like the fake Vatican. The interior was made of brick, as shown in the image above, which we just looked at, overlaid with concrete and marble, and the same finish appeared on the outside. The style and size of structures recalls the title of a great white city, the nickname given to the Chicago exhibition. Yet the Domus Aurea had the name the Golden Palace, for it shone, means shine, either due to gold covering, pearls, jewels, or perhaps electric power. The palace was put up in the record time of just 4 years, as the modern fairs are claimed to all be built in record time, in parentheses it states, by the two architects, Celer and Serru. Pliny, an elder, mentions he watched its construction in his book Naturalis Historia. When completed, Septonius claimed Nero responded that he had at least begun to live like a human being. Author photo of a reconstruction of the Domus Aurea projected onto the wall at the start of the underground tour Domus Aurea of 1890s exposition that could easily be the Great Basin of the Columbian Exposition. It could be, which was destroyed. So when I talk about Tartaria, this is after the pyramid period. When we talk about every so-called challenge of reset or war, 5,000 to 110 years, that is remarkable. At every time it happens. But before that, there was a period when it didn't happen, going back hundreds of thousands of years, where it suggested that people lived up to damn near 1,000 years old. So what came here and changed it? What happened? What maleficence? Nero wanted music, statues, paintings, and poetry to be presented and displayed. One of the centerpieces at the entrance was a giant 35.5 meter high bronze statue, the Colossus Neronis. Inside the rooms was spectacular and all made with polished marble, with extra windows and inches to let in more light. While pools and fountains were in the rooms, and in parentheses it states, to provide sounds as well as keep the air cool in summer months. And the ceilings were covered with mosaic tiles, and while the most lavish paintings were on the walls, it is claimed that it is these wall paintings that inspired the mid-Renaissance artists such as Raphael in 18th century, and 18th century neoclassicism, the central oculus of the octagonal port of the Domus Aurea. Look at this. Look at this. It's concave, not meaning upside down, but it's, I forget the word for that. You know what I mean? One of the great features was a fantastic octagonal court. The dome, one of the most amazing of its day in concrete, had a central oculus to let in light. The Pantheon in miniature. A giant fountain ran at one end underneath the floor, offering not only to regulate temperature, but also to act in the same way as water beneath the pyramids might operate, as an energy conducting device. Energetically, the room is spectacular, and it needs to be imagined with the marble walls and floors and fantastic statues. Now, in parentheses, it states a few of which can be seen at the Vatican Museum. Oh man, they really got the world fucked up and confused, don't they? And what amazes me are the two-legged bipedal individuals who sit here and will do the evil biddings, and you can't make this shit up. What, it's over a quarter million people every year go missing, up to at least 300,000, right? Every year. So for 10 years, how many fucking people is that? Come on, man. This shit is not groovy. What kind of experiments, tests? What rooms do they occupy? Who's alive? Who's dead? Have they been shown something and indoctrinated so that they come back to the surface or come back out here, and you seeing what maybe a big vaudeville show, and then all of a sudden, wah, boom, kuda ata. Kuda atata. No, let me stop. Kuda. I'm trying to think of the lion, what you call that fucking cartoon and shit. The Lion King, whatever the fuck. Anyway, let me go ahead and give everybody a shout out and read a couple comments, and we're going to sign off because I'm fucking starving. I hope the reading was good. My mouth is very dry, all the walking and the exercising, and you know how it goes. Intermittent fasting, and then turn around and here I am, right? Okay. The dead pharaoh could slowly climb to the sky and live forever. The pyramids and the rays of the sun. I think it's more nefarious than that, man. I really do. Energy, pure energy, and to harness it in a way to keep the people, to show the greatness of something other than, you know what I mean? I really believe that. Roger W. What's cracking? Crimean Tatars or Crimeans are a Turkic ethnic group and nation who are indigenous people of Crimea. The formation. Yeah, but they're not the people who they were in origin, right? You gotta remember when you Google, not everything's correct. Remember, we search it out, and then we look at it not as hypocrites, but we criticize the information because we know that they're always manipulating everything. Yes, law enforcement. That's what the LEAA means, y'all. law enforcement assistant. I thought okay, for the new people, that's what LEAA means. Thank you, Snow. Act of 1971 is the United States statute acting to repeal portions of the internal security. Yes, but we know it's fictional too. The Emergency Detention Act, Title II of the Internal Security Act of 1950 was Cold War and legislation that authorized the federal government to summarily detain any person suspected of espionage. And that's the ones who are committing the espionage against the U.S. corporation. Foreign ideologies and interests. The one motherfucker that's in charge of all this bullshit. Sabotage or whom there is reasonable ground to believe, brackets will, probably engage in acts of espionage or sabotage when the president declared an internal security emergency, and we know that the presidents are all fictional characters. Yeah, we've already been under it, crap. Well, we were never under it, but because our people become fucking dumb by this Black Caucus and these motherfucking frat Masonic goofy motherfuckers betrayed. That's why I had that stuff up to show y'all. Yeah. Authorize the Justice Department to construct detention facility in preparation of such emergency. And emergency is no more than fuck the people up, make prisoners, kill off most of the population, and do what they got to do. A concentration camp law. The legislation was strongly influenced by the World War II detention of Japanese Americans. Yes. Y'all read that stuff, okay? But I need to. Original Lone Wolf, yeah. We got to be careful how we put the information out there. So when we're reading, we take the things and we look at it, and then we don't just copy and paste. We actually commit ourselves to reality of the situation as I'm reading. Stay in line with what's going on as not just seeing, but we throw the facts out. But at the same time, we look at it and we don't reconstruct the narrative. We put the narrative that's actually happening so that people could see it. Herbs, the media, influence, others, Paul, exactly. And others, so yes, it is very, very correct. It is a perversion. Exactly. That's what it is. Ganji with your damn Arabs up there. Yeah, but don't believe that. See what I'm saying? Be careful. Remember I asked you that, told you that before. Great putting the information out, but be careful. Pay attention. I'm reading something and I'm explaining stuff. So people read that and they might miss what's being expressed. So that when you pull up the information, you research it, but be aware everything is been handled. All right? Yes. Alternative terms are real, creating the goal. Yes, older than the Mesopotamian writings. Exactly. And the Mesopotamian writings, people need to be careful of that because that's a switcheroo too. See, that's the I got a book on that, a few of them, but yeah, that's when we get back into reading not the Custodians of Time, it alludes to some of that about Mesopotamia, remember? The guy who's in there in the bed, like he gets injured, but the guy can do some amazing things. Oh, the individual. When we get to the Iron Republic and a few other books, and we get Nos Confondum, when we go through that again, we'll cover some of that. We've been here on this earth playing a long damn time. You damn right. But Holy Statue of Liberty harkens back. And when I told people that the Statue of Liberty always been there, motherfucker said, no, the French. Oh, man, them dumb motherfuckers. Listen to me. I told them, man, that's a star fort. But it wasn't what people think it is. And it's all disrespect. Look at this Tartarian. You damn right. Ours. You got dang right, baby girl. You got damn right. So that's right. It is. It's ours. They destroyed our food supply, caught all the trees. We had pure oxygen. They brought their poison here. Herbo, you're correct. I wonder if that's why it was in the Planet of the Apes movie. Covered in mud. ABJR. Oh no, it's all right, baby girl. But you can too, because you know the information. You pay attention to that damn. You can correct it too, baby girl. No, I'm not telling you to stop. Don't trust me. But you can clarify it too. Which one is the? When we get into the Arctic home of the Vedas and all that other stuff, the Book of Earth, Book of Earths, not Earth, but Earths. Okay, and worlds beyond the poles. Those with these are gonna have y'all like, what the fuck? Question everything. There's nothing wrong with it. The problem is there's not enough people in the house. You dig what I'm saying? I love to read, and it's entertaining for me. At the same time, my travels, I'm able to voice some things. Paul Cook actually has a video coming up, and he might have started it. It's pretty freaking interesting. I put the notification on, but I'm doing a live right now, so I got to make something to eat, and I'm starving, guys, and I've got to go and get something refreshing, like my coconut water with a little lime in it, a little electrolyte, and some sustenance, because I've been working out, not retarded. And y'all can donate, people. My Cash App, $ capital I, what is it? Indian Gym 1. What is it again? Snoo. I know my Cash App, but I've got other things, y'all. Today I had to reschedule appointments for this QET, veterans. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm 100% service connected and over, but they're having a hard time accepting the fact that my wrists and my knee, like, fuck, like, with a bomb. But yeah, it's not on yet. Okay, cool. It's not on yet, y'all. See, that's what my baby girl does. She handles that shit. That's what I love. My Cash App, y'all can go ahead to send. You can send $2.50, $4, $5. It hasn't moved, and I said, "Damn, I wouldn't drop $2.85 in the bank account, and I just want to get the rest so I can order the rest of these books." Can a brother get a little hand? I'm not trying to build a fake ass school and write some fake books for you, like Umar and all them other motherfuckers, and to have you pay me $75 to do a genealogy and all this other goofy shit that people are doing to make a bag. I don't make a bag. This is so we can have this information. I can read it to you. My apologies that I was a little animated, but I am very dehydrated. Sadly, it doesn't look like it, but I am. I kind of pushed it. It got up in the 90s, and it was a wonderful walk. For those who came and watched me when I'm live and listened to me, I appreciated you. I really, really do. Maybe I'll get back to running those 10, 15 miles again. I don't know. We'll see. I haven't ran a marathon for, it's been 2 years, over 2 years. So, yeah, it's different direction. You know what I'm saying? Oh, appreciate it, honey. Yeah, it's Indian Gym 1. That's my Cash App. And yeah, help me out, get the rest of the books. I'm actually using the light because I don't like that circle light. It makes me see spots when I'm done. I don't know what the hell that circle thing is. I bought the small one too from Amazon. That small one is, I don't know how people just sit up there with that little ring on and be talking in, and then when you look away, you see for about an hour or 2 hours, you see these purple and blue and yellow rings all over the damn place. Oh, I can't do it. But that little light right there, I can deal with that one. I'm not blinded. When I look away, everything's good. I don't see no spots. It ain't like that homeboy on East Side Crackhead when you give a crackhead a phone and you see this right here. Don't, da-da-don't, 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 don't. That just cracks me up. I'm gonna have to upload that video. Had me cramping in tears. But anyway, I appreciate you guys coming in. I love y'all, my beautiful sisters, my beloved brothers, 2 and a 1. Slide a few dollars up in there, guys, so we can get these books, man. I know it's almost the weekend. I know you guys, I don't want to rob you. I don't want you to be broke. We get this light. My salt solids. See how dark I got? Alicia Cooper, hey, hon. Okay, see how dark I got? So I really, really love this light. You know what I'm saying? So we are sitting right at, I'm going to show you guys all the time. I don't mind showing the prices and what everybody shares and all that. We're sitting at $158. Okay? Yeah, I don't sit there and wait for it to get big and it's all, I've got money. Shit, I got, So, but anyway, help me get these books, man. So, as I stated, $250. So it's at $158. So we're looking at about another, $92? And then we'll get it cracking. I'll go ahead and order the rest of those books. I mean, it's taking damn near a month to get my books, y'all. So let's go ahead so I can go ahead and order them damn things. Or y'all like that dun, with the crackhead when you give him a new cell phone? That should have me in cramps. Oh my God, that should have me in cramps. I mean, literally, I was like eating bananas and drinking coconut water to get and taking magnesium to get the cramp to go away the other day. Oh man, I shared it on Instagram. I got it. I about knew you saw it, right? Oh my goodness. And that's not the first time I did it. Oh, that should have me. Oh my God. Yeah, I gotta be careful because I gotta eat, y'all. I don't want to get cramp, y'all. I get cramp, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, love you, motherfuckers. Let me drink some of this. I think this is the reason why. This damn dandelion and cinnamon. Oh, it's so good though. Oh, dandelion root and cinnamon is the best. I hope you guys like homemade super glue. It works, y'all. Okay, the homemade super glue, it's easy with the glycerin, the gelatin, the vinegar, and the water. Heating up the water, adding the vinegar, 2 parts water, 1 part vinegar, tablespoon. Okay, 10 grams of 10 grams of gelatin, and like half a teaspoon of glycerin. Stir. Put it on wood, put it on metal, put it on plastic, put it together, clamp it, let it sit for about It takes about 2 hours. But let me tell you something, you're not gonna pull it apart. All right? Homemade super glue, people. All right? Hey, you wanna say hi? Say hi. Say hi. Say hi. What's going on, y'all? Alexander's saying hi, people. Say hi. You wanna say hi? Say hi, Mama. I love you. That's my little bro. This Alexander, man. He's like the coolest, and he's getting bigger. Snoo saying hi. You gonna rub? Okay. You wanna jump up? Go. Oh, gun. Go over the gun belt. Oh, good boy. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. Like I said, slide into the Cashapp DM. You know, a few dollars. God damn it! If you got a few you can spare, let's go ahead. Super chat when we're doing a podcast at school, they take 40% of that. They don't, if you want a cash app, if you want a super chat somewhere down the road when we're doing a podcast, it's fine. As long as it's interesting enough and it drives you in a direction that's very informative. Appreciate you guys. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate y'all so much. Now I'm going downstairs to get some cabbage and some chickpeas and shit, and I'm about to go and fuck some food up, y'all. Oh, crazy. Yeah, I got some, I give him his fucking mouth teeth cleaning, and then I give him his, you got the hairball control, and then you got his favorite, which is the salmon and mackerel. So he gets those like 10, and he just goes crazy, all right? Anyway, I'll let you guys later. We're at 1 hour and 40. Fuck. And I'll see you guys later on, all right? Appreciate you guys. Hopefully we get this podcast going, and we get this these individuals, these young kids, and we can educate them a little more, or they can stay stuck where they're at. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate you all. And I hope the read was good. Regardless of me, it wasn't as fluent as usual. My apologies, but hey, y'all have a good evening.